Hi there, I'm Shana Narrow, and I am helping people to step into their power and manifest radiant health that is free of food addiction, compulsive eating, emotional eating, or any behavior around food that prevents people from fully living their life. What I want to talk about right now that's just up for me is I want to sort of paint a picture of what I see as real healing of food addiction, because I think there's so many different ideas out there about what real healing looks like. And it's important to be clear about what we're really going for so that we don't get lost along the way. Because what happens to most people is they spend years of their life having periods where their food issues subside and they think that it's all okay, and then it just comes back around again. So how do we really know that we have reached a place where we are finally past our food issues? I want to lay this out, and I want you to try to look for any of these signs, because the idea and the reality can be that a person can fully be free of these food behaviors. They can live where they are not in a place where any situation or any uh, thought or feeling will trigger something. So what is this real healing that we're really going for? Again, people wind up getting stuck at different places along the way, and when they're at just some place along the way, it's so easy for them to really get dragged down low. So the things that are sort of signs that someone is somewhere along the way, and that for a time they're telling themselves that their food addiction is okay, are, first of all, you've got people who they sort of feel like they're just managing. They're just living with it, and it's okay, like it's under control. So if that is like something that you relate to, if you feel that way, if you tell that to yourself, that is a red flag. There's something there that is under the surface that has not been shifted and is likely to get reignited at any time. A person is really susceptible, and it's sort of like a time bomb waiting to explode. So that's one sign. Another sign is, and I have really been through many of these myself, and I just see this in so many people, so I am speaking from personal experience. You see people who they eat really healthy, but they're thinking about food all the time. But the fact that they're eating healthy makes them somehow convince themselves that their food issues are okay and resolved. So that's like another place where someone will go and they won't allow themselves to really acknowledge the reality that they are still being controlled by food, even though they don't totally binge. Maybe they had in the past, and then they get to a place where they're really able to maintain healthy eating, but underneath it, there's really a unhealthy process happening all the time that's sapping their energy. Constant thinking about food. In this case, it would be healthy food. Now you've got like when people are thinking about unhealthy food, but with the healthy food, it's like someone's hiding behind that. Someone is telling themselves that they're okay, that they're past it. And unfortunately, then they wind up spending years staying stuck, because what I see that happens, I have so many people come to me who eat healthy, who are having serious health issues, a range, sometimes mild, sometimes serious. People come to me, they eat quite healthy, but they really have health issues that are significantly affecting their life. Now, I'm not saying that the only reason is because they still have incessant thoughts about food, but that is one factor that saps someone's energy. And basically, it just reflects that they haven't shifted to a place where the real profound healing happens. Because when the profound emotional healing happens, when someone, mental healing, like we could call it so many things, in the end, it's really just emotional and mental and physical and spiritual. So unless it's full, that it's happened on all these levels, then there is eventually going usually to be some sort of physical disease that is going to begin, for so many different reasons. But one of those reasons is because emotionally there's something off, there's something out of balance. And so mentally also something out of balance. And so those are factors that are playing in to why someone develops these physical symptoms in the first place. And then of course I'm working with people because there's other reasons. And then when we identify the physical reasons that are playing in, whether it be like candida, different bacterial overgrowth, there's so many reasons. So by that time, that has to get dealt with in order for someone to actually heal emotionally as well. So these things are like so intertwined, but I don't want to digress too much. So next thing, the next mentality that you'll find that somebody will basically be living as if, okay, they've moved past this, but really it's a real sign that they haven't, is where they will basically be living sort of like accepting that this is who they are. And you'll find this a lot with people who go to these recovery groups, like Overeaters Anonymous. And don't get me wrong, because those recovery groups really can help people tremendously. But what I found in many cases, and I personally know this from my personal experience, is that it reinforces the identity of having these food issues. And so basically, in order to stay okay for the rest of your life, you have to stay attached to this identity that you are a food addict or an emotional eater, and you have to remind yourself of it all the time in order to make sure that you don't have a relapse. So again, there's just some people, I'm not saying there aren't exceptions where people go in and somehow, but if people have to keep going to meetings their whole life in order to maintain freedom from food addiction, so already, like, of course, the friendship's great, but we can get friendship, so many places of our life. Maybe people are just going for that social aspect, but and now just to be clear that we see that in people who go to those sort of recovery groups, and I support it. Like if that works for someone, especially in the beginning, amazing, and getting that support. But eventually a person, I just want people to know that there is a place so much higher than that. And you've got people who don't go to those groups either. And then those are the people where it's even more dangerous, because they're telling themselves that, like, this is just who they are and they'll live with it, So they sort of wind up figuring out how to manage, but then they just go on for years and years of their life, basically limiting their potential because of the amount of energy that is getting sapped in to these issues. So the one other scenario that is another very common thing is somebody who is not being, their food behaviors are not being in an active state because things are going good in their life. Okay, and that is super, super common. And of course, the downside of that is that it is totally dependent on things going good in your life. And we all know that the reality of our our world, of our existence in this plane, is that there are challenges here. And so, at least for somebody like this is going to maybe quicker realize that unless they figure out a way to really heal and reach a higher level, they're always going to be living at the whim of things going good in their life. So these are like typical states of mind, typical things that we tell ourselves that make us feel like we're okay when we really have not dealt with it at the root. And therefore, we are not maximizing who we have the potential to really be, because the truth is we have such incredible potential. That's why we're here. And for the people who really take this on, I see how they blossom and just shine and reach a place that they really didn't even imagine was possible. So the last category I just want to touch upon is people who have health issues, because that is a unique category. Now, when someone is continuing with food addiction for many years, it's almost inevitable. Even the people who are eating healthy but have this food addiction for many years, it's quite likely that eventually they develop health issues. And so we've got a really unique situation here, because the health issues are beginning to push someone to realize that something's got to change. It pushes people, like most of the people who come to me, and this is where I really specialize, where I'm combining the naturopathic healing, the self-healing, with the healing of the food addiction to reach this high level. So the health issues are pushing a person, and then it becomes, in a way, paradoxical, because one of the ways that people really overcome food addiction, a piece of it anyway, is they understand that they have to stop depriving themselves, okay? That they are not going to be able to overcome their food addiction by depriving themselves, by being in a feeling of not being able to have something that they want. Because the minute someone goes there, they begin to activate the stress response and the survival brain, and it backfires almost always, right? So you've got that, and then someone with health issues, they wind up having to be much more careful about the way they eat. So you've got people who don't have health issues, let's say, who can take this route of healing where they can eat whatever they want in order to get over this. It's actually a technique that can be used, that is used. And there's some wisdom in it. There is some wisdom in it. However, even here, this holds a person back from fully being free, from fully reaching their potential. I should say it that way, because they do like get to more of tasting this freedom, because they can eat whatever they want. And it does, to a degree, wind up making them like not need to go crazy with food. However, it's like they are in the illusion that then they're in control because they can eat whatever they want. But real control is getting to a place that's really beyond this. And this is actually where people with the health issues, they actually have this blessing in a way. It's a blessing in disguise, because they are given this opportunity. Their challenge gives them this opportunity to get to a place with food where they really transcend all of this. They can get to such a high level, because basically they have to, if they want to heal physically, first of all, they're going to have to learn to eat the foods that their body needs to heal. The healing force is quite strong when somebody allows it to flow, but most people are not allowing it to flow. So you've got these physical issues, you really have no choice, and yet you want to heal your food addiction, so you can't deprive yourself, right? Right? So this is the thing. And this points to what the real healing looks like, because the real healing is when a person gets to the place where they are able to choose the foods that are totally aligned with what their body needs, and they are doing it from a place of not depriving themselves in any way, shape, or form. Now think about that. That's a high level, because, I mean, at the end of the day, we live in a world with we're surrounded by these foods that are, having them like here and there are fine, but having them on a regular basis really degrades health. And then these are the foods that, of course, are like, in many cases, genetically engineered to be so enticing to us, where like we have a bite and it's like so easy to just fall. And then so here we are with health issues, for those of us with the health issues, and this applies to somebody without the health issues. It's just that someone with the health issues, they're in this special situation. They actually have this special opportunity. Their health issues allow them to get, in some cases, to this really high level where they are automatically wanting the foods that are aligned with what their body, their mind, and their soul need to thrive, and they don't feel like they're depriving themselves in any way. So eventually, so this is what the real healing looks like. When you're at that place where you are choosing these foods, you have control over your inner state. What you're eating is not dependent on having a good day, not dependent on, what might come into your mind that day, what thoughts. What you're eating is an outgrowth of this new state of being, where you really shift to a new way of being. And that's where the word empowerment is really so much capturing what this state is about. Now, there's many aspects of this state that I walk people through and guide them to really embodying this way of being in the world. And then what happens then is that the old ways with food, they either fall away or they simply just need to be rewired, because the way that we act is mostly just habit. We've automated these behaviors, and once we clear up all the stuff underneath it, once we learn how to be in the world in a new way, then we simply just need to rewire our habits, and we wire our habits to the habits that just support us being the person that we truly want to be. So that's what it looks like. And it is totally possible. I hope that you can just relate to some of the different things I was talking about in the beginning, so that you can catch yourself and maybe realize that a higher way is possible. And then really, last thing is that the realization that it's possible and the desire to want it, that's the main thing that's needed for success. All the different techniques that I use with people to make these shifts and to rewire their brain and to open up their emotional and physical channels, what I've seen is the main indication for when they work and when they don't work is they work for the people who are ready. They work for the people who really want it. And for the people who, say they want it, but they don't really want it, and they're not really ready, so they tend to not work for those people. It's like simple in a way. So you can also start to ask yourself, regarding food and regarding anything that you want to change in your life, are you really ready? Do you really want this? Because when you do, the rest of the journey is quite easier than you probably imagine it to be, and the goal is totally possible. So with food, it's totally possible to be totally free of these states where you're just okay, and just managing or dependent on having a good day. It's just so possible to be free and living your life in a whole different state. So if any of you want some guidance, I do offer a free breakthrough call to help people who are starting to think that this is what they want and they feel ready, and help them to see like what's been holding them back and help them to make a plan of how to move forward. So if that's you, you're welcome to click at the link that I'm going to put at the bottom, sign up for a time on my calendar so we can talk about this more. I also have a free Facebook group where I'm posting videos and other things called Empowered Life, Wellsprings of Radiant Health. So have a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend, and I will talk to you soon.